Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing great out there. I've been doing all right. I've certainly had a lot of traveling. I went to Cinegear. I took a week up north for a dark sky photo expedition to shoot some time lapse. That's another video. But with all this going on, I did manage to get in a live interview with Micheal Cioni and Peter Cioni. They are the founders of Strada. What's Strada? Well, it's a very interesting new tool, technology, application that will allow you to work with people, collaborators around the world. Well, big deal. We already have a half dozen services that do that. But what if you took the cloud out of it? What if you could directly collaborate together and you didn't have to use the cloud? You could directly share media between your computer and your collaborators, whether it's one or two, or it's 50 or 100, all that's possible. So let's just get right into the interview with Micheal and his brother Peter about what Strada is, how it works, and all the other details. It was a pretty fun, lively, entertaining interview that we had together, and just watch. Thanks for coming out today and being on YouTube with me. So I appreciate your time. I did get a chance to see you for a moment at Cinegear from about 10 feet away, and you ran off. Huh. So here we are.
Busy time, and there was a lot of times things just keep moving. We do our best, but we're growing, so we'll have more help at Cinegear next year.
Tell me about you guys. Let's assume nobody knows who you are. Where are you guys from? What's your backstory?
Sure. We grew up, we're brothers. He's the older one of the two of us. We grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Michael's really always been in the broadcast space. I remember as a brother watching him make student films in high school, and then he ended up getting a degree in broadcast communications. I was always in the finance and business world. We ended up coming together in 2008 to start a post house in Los Angeles, which we ended up opening called Light Iron, which was where we spent a lot of time in cutting edge workflows. It was the advent of the Red camera and other digital cinema cameras. And we built that post house, created locations around the country. It was acquired by Panavision in 2015. After that, Micheal led the development of the Panavision DXL camera, which was really their first true digital cinema camera. He left for Frame.io in 2019. I left for Netflix in 2021. And then in 2023, we decided we should start another company again, which is now Strada. And we really started it because we saw opportunities in the market to take advantage of cutting edge compute technologies and AI models that can run at the edge and just new workflows. And so we said the best way to bring those technologies to the masses was to start a new company. So we started it in 2023. And just last week, Strada hit its second birthday. So is that a toddler? I think Strada is a toddler at this point in age.
What are you guys doing that's kind of new and different?
Well, the biggest thing that's different is that we're using an amalgamation of several technologies that actually really matured rapidly after the pandemic. This Zoom call is a product of really good tech evolution because of the requirement for high fidelity, reliable, high quality remote communication. Obviously, the pandemic really didn't invent that tech space, but it really got funded very well, right? So we got a lot of improvements. So those improvements are essentially making telecommunications video exceptionally reliable and good quality. But we thought, why can't we use some of that technology and apply it to your files? And so what we're doing that is different is we are no longer requiring people to upload to a cloud in order to collaborate, because that's what we almost instinctively assume is the truth. Instead, we're using technology like that's inside of products like Zoom to stream the pixels of a file without ever having to move the file, which means the file can stay on your hard drive and it never transmits itself at all. It is not moved, it's not copied, it's not uploaded, and the file isn't ever even in a cloud. So in terms of security, that makes it really cool because there is no echo of the file, which if people really knew how many places their cloud files really are, they're kind of all over the place. And if people, when you hit delete, I think most people know that it's not really deleted at all. It's just, you can't get it anymore. But somebody else could. And with our technology, just like a Zoom call, if you're not recording the Zoom call, once the call is over, once the frame is over, it's gone. It doesn't exist. And our technology is similar in that if a file is not being played, there is no echo or instance of it at all.
So when I watched your thing a couple days ago, I thought this would be great for news for companies that just you want to throw your drive, your media online, and they're going to chop, chop, chop and have that thing out on air in a couple hours. And to not have to go through the thing of streaming it up on a LiveU could make a few people happy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I don't know whether you guys have looked at that or not.
Yeah, so our backgrounds over the last 25 years has really been in what we would call narrative filmmaking. You're shooting to a card, you're downloading the card and following a traditional post workflow. We certainly have gotten feedback like yours that our product could be very valuable in the news, broadcast, live sports space. Over time, we'd love to get there, but when we're a small startup, we really want to stick to our core competencies and hone the capabilities on that user base, and then over time expand into other content creation markets as well.
So work me through this a little bit. So I go out and I shoot some stuff for somebody, and that happens all the time. They're on East or West Coast. We got some sporting thing or some celebrity here. I go out and I shoot for a day. Now what?
Well, the coolest thing is normally everybody takes the card out of the camera and then they have to now download that card. They have to convert that file to some smaller file, and then they have to put it on a hard drive and either ship the hard drive, which sometimes is still the fastest way, which is kind of sad, or they have to make a web proxy of it, upload all those proxies, which typically are done in another location, and then someone has to send an email, invite people to the folder that has the proxies so someone can see it. All of that stuff, especially your viewers know this, probably takes between 8 and 24 hours. It kind of varies. But it's very rare for someone on a set to be able to access, specifically an editor. It's very rare for an editor remotely to be able to access files anywhere near the time that they're actually shooting it. That's pretty rare. And someone will say, well, we do it. Someone's got a solution, but it's probably unique and hard to repeat. What we do is allow that data manager or that DIT, or in some cases, the camera itself, to be connected into Strada and either and stream the files directly so you can watch them immediately after they're recorded. Or if they're a proxy file, which cool cameras like Reds and Canons and Fujis and Blackmagic cameras, they shoot RAW and proxy concurrently. You could just pull the proxy off the data manager's cart. Like you can literally, the editor can be connected to the DIT or DMT's cart and just pull the files right off. In some cases, you can pull them right off the magazine. And in Blackmagic, which we're big fans of, you can pull it directly off the camera without ejecting the magazine if the camera's plugged into a hard line to a network. That might not be always the case, but at least on the camera cart or the DIT cart or DMT cart, you should be able to do that. The point is, an editor, we're connecting editors and anyone in post directly to the DIT or DMT on a set, and they're able to download those files at whatever speed the network allows. And therefore, if you have a proxy file or generate a proxy file, those files can be transmitted clip by clip, mag by mag, certainly within hours of being shot and certainly not days.
Right. So, like in TV, you got a LiveU. Those are only sending up 5.5 megabit 1080 files or stream.
Right.
And it still looks okay. I mean, they really do have a good codec in their hardware. But let's say I'm working out of the house studio here. I'm on a cable modem. I got 20, 30 megabits up. How does this kind of play out with that?
Yeah, so one of the beauties of our encoder is that it's a variable bitrate encoder. And because we're leveraging peer-to-peer connections, our system understands the constraints on the upload side as well as the download side. And so that variable bitrate encoder will change the compression schema, the bit rate, the resolution,
Even the codec.
in order to account for the constraints of the relationship between the sender and the receiver. So it is not a fixed bit rate codec, which is really important because the spectrum, no pun intended, the spectrum of potential internet connections is highly variable, highly volatile. And so it's important that our system is constantly understanding packet loss and challenges with the connection in order to ensure delivery of frames to the intended recipient. We actually did a test on an airplane last week where someone was using internet on an airplane Wi-Fi and hosting media for someone else to watch it. And I don't know if you've experienced it, but it's sub-megabit internet connections, and we were still able to enable an experience. So I'm not suggesting that as a workflow, but it demonstrates that as long as you have internet bandwidth greater than nothing, our product works.
Okay. So I can access Media Remote and get a solid, clean stream out of it. Where does this go if I now want the full res stuff?
Well, the beauty about that is when you mentioned that some people have like a LiveU output from a camera, one of the limitations of that is that doesn't really have a relationship with the camera itself. So for anybody that wants to go back to original camera files, live streams are pretty much unusable, right? Because they're orphans. So what's cool about Strada is you can either use the proxies generated in the camera, or you could generate your own proxies that are related to the original camera files and relink them later. Now, if you have high bandwidth access, and let's call that more than 100 megabits upload, Strada can transfer any file. So it's okay if it's a large file, even a raw file that you can't play back in Chrome, because Chrome and Firefox and Safari can't debayer raw files, but we can see them and you can pull them down. You're going to be limited to the bandwidth of transfer, but you'd be limited to that anyway if you put it in Dropbox or Google Drive or Frame.io anyway.
Signia and Aspera, all of
Right.
it.
So this is,
I'm the remote producer, editor, whatever. I scanned through the clips. I decided these are the 4 or 5 clips that I want to pull immediately. How does that work? Do I just like click on a box and hit download or send? Or
you act just like it's a Finder. You right click and hit download to make a copy. But instead of it downloading from a cloud transfer service in a temporary repository, you're literally establishing a connection with the other end's computer. In fact, when you hit download, you get this cool moment where it says preparing, because it's actually negotiating the shortest path from your computer to their computer. And it takes a few seconds for it to find that path. And once it locks it in, it starts the transfer. And you can get the best possible transfer speeds without having to pre-upload it to a large transfer service first.
Right. No, I think that's great because it just saves one more piece in the middle, one more thing to pay for and one more thing to go wrong. Because I've had that. I've had cards, like I just last week was pushing 240 gigs up off a card, and the first time it just died in the middle, and that was a day and a half into the upload.
Yeah. And another problem that maybe you would also agree with is that you also have to spend time and money inviting the remote collaborators into that. So not only do you have to pay to upload it and store it, you got to then deal with the media management and permissions management of a third-party system. And if you're a contractor, is it you who's responsible for that, or is it them? With Strada, we don't charge for users to be invited to your drives. And if you want to invite a lot of people, we think that's fine. So you don't have to like be bumped to a specific tier just for someone to have access to it.
So talk about your business model, because you just released that information a few days ago. How does this work? Because you guys got to make money too, right?
Yes.
Let's hope.
Yes. The plan is to make money at some point. So how we think about it is our vision is that whether you're a professional or an amateur weekend warrior, you have an agent installed on your computer, because we think our product provides value wherever you are in your professional career because you can have access to your local computer on the go. We think that's very valuable. So we want to make that capability available to everyone. The first step function in pricing, where we start to introduce a pricing tier, relates to the type of access and permission controls of the drive itself. So for now, if you want to allow someone to pull from your computer, that's totally free. If you want to enable someone to push to a specific drive on your computer, that's an example of permissions, and that's where a paid tier comes into play. And our goal as well, this is a little bit unique relative to a lot of the other video SaaS products out there. We want to introduce a la carte pricing for various capabilities because all workflows are different. People have different needs and requirements. And so with most video SaaS subscriptions today, if I want a feature that exists in the enterprise tier, I have to buy enterprise. We think that's a problem. And so we're trying to look more into a la carte pricing to allow you as a user to choose. So some examples of a la carte pricing would be, for example, the maximum file size that you want to transfer in any one single delivery. Another example would be a synchronous review type experience. That would be an add-on a la carte feature. When we start to bring in some of our AI models that we have used in the past, if you want to add in AI transcription, that would be an a la carte feature. So our thought is to have a finite number of tiers, which is common in a lot of these subscriptions, but allow users to pick and choose which add enhancements they want to add to the subscription that they sign up for.
Okay, so is this yearly or monthly? Pick and choose?
Yeah. So it will be a monthly subscription, and we will financially motivate you to buy an annual license. So what's common practice is a annual subscription tends to be 5 to 15% discount over the month-to-month price. We would certainly like to follow a similar path. And then we also want to enable larger organizations that need a bulk of agents. They can buy agents in bulk, and there will also be a volume discounts associated with a team that needs 10, 15, 20 agent licenses. We can have conversations on those bigger sized orders.
So, but I can install a version right now and push a few files around and get to try it and see how it works first.
That's right. That's exactly right. And our belief is that the features you can use today, right now, are the capabilities that will be free, we hope, in perpetuity.
Okay, so to get this to work, I remember the bad old days. I've run my own FTP and web servers and been through all the stuff that you have to do to keep those running and happy and firewalls. Do I have to do any of that stuff for this to make it work?
No, when things go well, we want you to sign up and be able to share files within 3 minutes of starting, and you don't need any experience with networking configurations or FTP or VPN technology. It's built to be very creative friendly. Let's put it that way.
So I don't have to dig into a bunch of settings and mess with a bunch of stuff. It more or less generally works out of the box.
That's right. That's right. We will say the majority of the challenges that we've seen so far with early users are the organizations that are bigger teams that have firewalls. They tend to introduce problems. So if you just have a creative team, everybody's got today a Mac, Apple Silicon computer. It works great out of the box, no configuration required.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. I was in a corporate IT thing. We were doing a live stream, and we had 2 guys in there messing around for a couple of hours to open up all the things that he needed to do to get the stream to go out.
Yep. It is worth saying that we have done a demonstration at a very, very well-known large studio here in Hollywood, and we were able to make this technology work even within the walls of their highly secure environment. So I don't want you to believe that anyone with a firewall, this won't work. It very much does. There are just certain configurations that IT teams set up that really prevent some of our protocols from getting through the firewall.
Right, but so for the average single user, small company who's fairly unmanaged, this stuff, no problems.
And that's
what we all want to hear.
Yeah, and that's the market that we really want to target initially. The markets that we're thinking about with this product are corporate, industrial, branded content, videographers, wedding videographers, creator economy. That's the audience that we're really trying to target initially with this product. People that are, teams of 3 to 10 to 15 that just are trying to make a lot of content at as high quality as possible.
I remember you guys said something about this. I don't know if you've actually pushed this out or not. As far as an editor, sitting with Resolve here or whatever you use, how do I get this footage? Do I open up your control panel and I download files to my local drive if I need those? Or is there a panel or a bin or something that's going to go into the editor? How is this going to work?
Well, someday we will have integrations directly into all the nonlinear editor systems. Today, you talk to Strada just like you would a traditional cloud, where you go to the files and pull them down to your local drive. You're simply not needing a cloud to do that. The cloud, in a way, is the host's computer and drive. Because, what is a cloud? It's another computer hosting files. So it's not really a cloud, right? And so we're simply making your computer and your hard drive a cloud. And then your remote users that are invited to it can access it. Now, that's an important element. Even in the free version, you are able to control who sees what and what folders they have access to. So you don't have to grant people access to an entire volume. You can drill down several folders and say, well, I only want them to see my rough cuts folder or my outputs folder or my finals folder. And they, in their Strada, will only see those files. And then they can view them and they can download them. And that is, for an editor, you could say, here are the dailies, invite them to the dailies or rushes, and then they can just pull those files down and start editing. They should be able to download them at whatever speed the smallest bottleneck is, with no cloud in the middle.
Cool. All right, so you guys kind of ready to give me the ultimate demo? I asked you to record this. Can you send me the file?
Yeah, of course. So I am recording this on my laptop here. So I'll narrate what I see, and then you'll be able to show it. So if we look at my screen here, we are able to see my connected agents. The Strada agent lives at the top of my screen, and one of the drives here is called the ProGrade. And this is the ProGrade drive right here. This is an 8 terabyte SSD by ProGrade. And what happens, I have the ProGrade connected, and I am going to navigate to that. So I see ProGrade here, and I'm going to go to some test footage, and I'm going to share with you this entire directory called test footage. So I'm going to invite you. So you'll go to your email. You'll see an invitation from me to a specific folder called the test files. If you click on that, it should launch Strada. You want to do that in Chrome. Great. So you'll see a section on the left called Shared With Me. This is what users are able to receive when they have many people sharing files with them. Because remember, you can have many different drives shared with you. And you should see the test folder, and that would be available for you to click into that test folder. Are you able to do that? Well, let's try something hard. Go to folder number 5, which is ProRes XQ.
Okay.
And if I have Pete hold this drive, I'll rack to it. Now, keep an eye on the drive on the screen, the little light here. This is the ProGrade 8 terabyte. As soon as you hit play, you can see it will start blinking when you play those ProRes files because they're big and they're asking the drive to play.
There it goes.
So you can see the drive's blinking because you're playing. And then if you stop playing, hit the space bar or pause, it'll stop blinking, right? Because the file is on this drive. And we want people to really understand it's not on the cloud. It's on my drive right here. You're playing it. We are very far apart from each other. And you're getting basically 250 millisecond latency from here to there, which is almost real time.
And for what it's worth, Steve, we're also having a Zoom call. So it's not like you've taken control of Michael's computer. This is running in the background. You mentioned how some of this technology existed 10 years ago. Well, the technology inside of a MacBook Pro didn't exist 10 years ago, and we're really leveraging all the horsepower that Apple continues to invest in the M series silicon chips with the dedicated HEVC encoder.
In fact, we could do it at the same time. If you go to a clip that is like 28 or 36 gigs, like they're big files. If I play back a file, I can play it, and I'm sure you can play it too. And now we're both playing ProRes 4K at the same time. And if you hit the F key, F as in Frank, you should be able to see it full screen, and it should look really good considering what's happening here.
You just kind of blew me away. This is not supposed to work like this. It's too good.
I'll show you one more thing that'll blow you away.
I mean, it's actually sharp and it's clean. It's not loaded with compression artifacts. I mean, Zoom's to hire you guys.
Well, I'll tell you what. When you see our screen recording, what is on our screen right now is actually the activity monitor. And our activity monitor is showing data sent at about 500 kilobytes per second.
So that's 4 megabits or so per second. That's the stream that you're receiving is 4 megabits.
And not only is that really small, but you can also see the power of Apple Silicon at play here, because the quality of the file you're getting is ProRes down, which is 1500 megabits per second, down to 4 in a blink of an eye and streamed to you. So my computer CPU is only running at 8%. So that 8% is me on a Zoom, me playing back ProRes 4K, and streaming an independent stream of ProRes 4K to you through Strada, and that altogether is only about 8% of my CPU memory.
So we're doing essentially 3,000 megabits per second of playback across those two ProRes XQ streams, plus whatever Zoom costs us. And yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff.
We're doing it over, I mean, we're only uploading
4 megabits.
4 megabits, which includes Zoom.
Right. All right. So I got this thing. I see this little downloady looking button up here in the top right. So if I click that.
Let's not do that one because that file is so big. Let's do this. Go back a folder into the test footage root, okay? And then you'll see a folder number 4 called HEVC clips.
Yeah.
And now at the bottom, there are 2 clips, B2, C16, and C19. Why don't you select both of those assets and then right-click and hit the download button.
Let's do that.
And once you hit download, it should initiate a communication establishing a peer-to-peer transfer connection. And then if you click in the upper right, there's a little icon up there that will show you the progress. So let us know when it starts coming down to you. Or what you just experienced is a drive connection, a remote playback, invitation. And remember, I only invited you to a folder. You don't have access to everything on this drive, just a specific folder. So that's a way to gate control. And then a download. And all of those are really the core experiences of our free plan. So we want everyone to do what you just experienced without having to pay for it.
No, this is cool. This is exciting. It looks to change a lot of stuff. I mean, I get it that you're aiming at the narrative market where you're shooting and you want people to be able to preview and rough cut. They don't have to be on set to get stuff. But, there's lots of other markets where this is equally valued, even like on the corporate side, where you've got stuff going on in different coasts and you got producers who don't want to travel. They can set this up and see whether you got them all the B-roll they wanted and everything else, and they can start rough cutting it all together. So,
Yep.
there's a lot of application here across a variety of different genres of production.
We're glad you feel that way, and I think we're showing here kind of a hub and spoke example where Michael's got the media, you're reviewing it remotely. But going back to what I said earlier about everyone having an agent, what we see with creative teams is everybody creates a local version of something, whether they're visual effects or audio or color or, the marketing team. And so by connecting all of your agents together, we are facilitating centralization while the media is federated. So our platform acts as a single source of truth, even when media is spread throughout the entire country or the entire world. So we think that's a huge time saver, efficiency saver by making all your 4 review folders, available on everybody else's drive.
Yeah, I mean, if I can stream clips and start cutting with them and then let the real ones download in the background, if that takes a day or two because we're stuck on cable modems, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're getting the real work done now, and then we'll just relink them up.
Relink them, that's right.
Exactly.
And we do, on our website, we have we wrote a vision page of the additional features that we will bring online over time. We have very grand goals for this product. So commenting, review links and shares for your client, for example, AI metadata enrichment. So we have a multi-year plan of what we want to add capability-wise to the product. So this is not the end of what it can do. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, client approval page would be great.
Yep, in the works.
In the works.
In the works. There's a picture of it half working on our website.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Right now I'm doing private YouTube links. Sometimes I have a cloud service I push clips up to. It's not one of the mainstream ones. It's called sync.com. They're low-key, they're quiet, and they just charge $100 a year for a couple terabytes of service, and that's it. They just work.
Yeah.
And there's no counting stuff you use against someone else's account and vice versa.
That's nice.
So they've been pretty good to work with.
Those are great. There's great products out here. We just find that on average, most people constantly get an email every month or so that says your storage is full. You need to upgrade. You need more users. And we're so used to getting those. We think that creative people can't escape that, because we're always going to create more content. We're always going to upload it to a cloud. So we're always going to fill up the bucket and have to upgrade. And
It's a pain to manage it.
And you have to manage it.
Stuff offline.
And we believe that if you're already managing it on your hard drives at the edge, by the way, hard drives are 40 times cheaper per gigabyte than cloud storage, even with products like Sync, you might as well just use the technology that lives on the edge and the investment you've already made. So that's why we're not anti-cloud. We just think the cloud can't solve all the problems specifically for video, because video is different than documents, which is how most people use clouds. But when it comes to video creators, the cloud was never built for moving large batches of video and seeing it. And we're gonna change that.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. This was fun. We're glad it worked.
It's exciting. I'm glad we got to do this. This is much more civilized than doing it at a trade show because you can answer questions in detail.
So there you go. If you want to check this out, go to strada.tech, T-E-C-H, and you can download their app, sign up for a free account, and play around with it for free to see if and how this works for you. And I haven't forgot about my converting an HMI light to LED. I'm working on some parts. It's just a little bit bigger project than I anticipated, and there's a lot to do, so kind of got pushed on the background to get this one out. So I'm still working on it. See you guys next time, and don't forget, like, subscribe, you know the deal. Catch you later.